Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Crystal Petrie podcast. I'm Crystal Petrie. What do you do when life shatters your biggest dreams? Dr. David Walker was just days away from trying out for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yes, the World Series winning Los Angeles Dodgers when a broken leg changed everything. But instead of letting that moment define him and end his story, he found the courage to redefine it. So stay tuned because this episode isn't just about baseball, but we will talk some baseball. It's also about what it really takes to defeat your giants and win. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. David Walker. How are you?
Crystal, I'm doing great. But after that introduction, I'm not doing so well because you just reminded me that the Los Angeles Dodgers are world champions and I could have been on the team.
World champions.
40 years later, I'm still suffering.
Listen, Dr. David, I would be too. I would be too. Oh my goodness. But you have redefined your
Yes.
story.
Yes.
And you've defeated that immensely huge giant.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're going to talk about it on this podcast. My first question for you, where in the world are you?
Well, currently I live in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
But I must recognize my roots where I come from because how dare I not mention where I come from. I grew up in an urban community in Brooklyn, New York called Bed-Stuy.
Oh,
Yeah, and
we've heard of Bed-Stuy.
Yeah, and just in case your audience have not ever heard of Bed-Stuy, it had a tagline known as Bed-Stuy Do or Die.
Ah!
Yeah, and some phenomenal people came from Bed-Stuy. Biggie Smalls, Jay-Z,
absolutely,
Chris Rock, Lenny Kravitz. These are some of my heroes that we all grew up in that same community of Bed-Stuy. And let me just add this about Bed-Stuy Do or Die.
Okay.
It was a community that if you didn't make something of yourself, it would get the best of you. That's why it was known as either you do or you die.
Yes.
And so you had to have a mindset that says, in spite of my upbringing, in spite of my surroundings, I have to have the mindset to come above what I see every day and know that life has greater opportunities ahead of me. And so I'm similar to those guys, Biggie and Jay. We always sought to be something great and come up out of do or die Bed-Stuy.
And I'm just going to add, I know you said some huge heavy hitters in the music industry, but we're going to add Dr. David Walker to that list too.
Well, I
not
appreciate
the music industry, but you made it out of Bed-Stuy.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's get started, Dr. David. Can you tell us about your early life and what shaped the foundation of your resilience? I feel like coming from Bed-Stuy, I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Oh, yeah. Success doesn't come without hardships. A lot of people want to be successful in life, but I challenge you to find anyone that's successful and they don't have a story of overcoming obstacles and overcoming challenges. And really, the more difficult the challenge is usually the greater the success. They go hand in hand. And so I came out of Bed-Stuy, but when you talk about resilience, I'm always going to lean to a very special woman in my life, my grandmother. Yeah, her name was Martha. And if
Martha,
I could just
let's say her whole name.
Yeah, Martha Culbreth.
Okay.
Martha Culbreth, that's my grandmother. And if I could just tell you a little short story about
Yes, absolutely.
About why she was so special to me. I remember it was March of 1960, before sonograms and before gender reveal parties. Because there were none in 1960.
Okay.
My mother was pregnant, expecting me. And her and my dad, they did not know my gender, but they decided that my name was going to be Michael. My mother said, if it's a boy, we're going to name him Michael. She went around telling all of her friends, "My boy's going to be named Michael. My boy's going to be named Michael." Crystal, I think she thought I was going to be an angel.
Yes.
But no angel. But anyway, my mother then comes to my grandma Martha and she says, "Ma, if I have another son, I do have an older brother, Robert." She said, "If I have another son, we decided to name him Michael." After my grandma Martha heard that news, she turns to my mother, she looks her directly in her eye, and she says, "His name is David." Because in the Bible, David was a king, David killed Goliath, and David was a great man. And my
Yes.
grandson will be named David, and he will be a great man. Crystal,
Yes.
I love my grandmother
Yes.
because she set me on a path of resiliency. Here's why. She said three things about the biblical character David. She said, number one, he was a king.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma was telling me every day you wake up, know that you are king, son. You are king. And you're the one who wear the crown. Every day of your life, you're king. Here's the second thing Grandma said. Grandma said that David was a giant slayer. Grandma was telling me that I would have problems in life, but I could overcome them. Didn't matter how big the problem was. I could overcome every single giant in my life. And then thirdly, Grandma said David was a great man. And I wondered, Grandma, how do you want me to be a great man? She made me to understand it wasn't about wealth and prosperity and money. She said, you'll be a great man if you live out the life that you are supposed to live. She said, don't be anybody else. Don't try to be this person. Try to be that person. If you just be you and who you are, you'll be great. So everything that I know about resiliency, determination, drive, I got to give my grandma effort. And of course, she was the one that introduced me to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. If that's okay to say it on
Yes,
the podcast.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Grandma was the one when I was in my teenage years, getting in all kinds of mess. Grandma would say, David, when you coming to Jesus?
Yes.
And I kept saying, Grandma, I'm coming, Grandma. And one day I finally said, I'm not going to run any longer. I'm going to live this life according to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. David, tell us a little bit about your background in the professional space, because when I have guests on, my community knows that I'm only bringing the best of the best onto this platform. So tell us a little bit about your professional background.
Yeah. Well, I went on what I call a trifold journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My life is mixed up of three things that I recognize and say that this is who I am. Number one, I grew up to be, I became an educator. For 30 years, I worked as a teacher, school administrator in the New York City school system. So education was my thing, working with young people, trying to help them to develop their minds to be successful in life. So I was an educator for 30 plus years. Then for about 15 years, I was a pastor. Yes, I led a congregation in Long Island, New York. It was called Faith Church at the time.
Okay.
And, we served our community. We fed the hungry, clothed the naked. We did what Matthew 25 says, do kingdom and community work. And then finally, this is probably my greatest passion. And that passion has to do with I refereed NCAA Division I basketball.
You know I was going to bring it up, but
Oh,
yes, yeah. Dr. David.
Yes, I did.
Oh my God. I love sports, which we've had this discussion. I just love it. I just love it. And we talked about, and I'm going to put you on blast for a second here, Dr. David. We talked about you coming back on the podcast to speak about being a referee. So I'm putting you on blast. I would love to have you come back and talk about that.
Yeah. And so, I did that for 25 years.
Yeah. Right now, I am a motivational speaker. And what I did in my motivational speaker, I have brought my officiating, my refereeing years into my speaking. And today I am known as the leadership referee. And I empower organizational leaders to move beyond what I call symbols of authority
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the referee's whistle. When I was blowing that whistle, the whistle told everybody that I was the person in charge, right? But just because I'm the leader, it doesn't make me a leader.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to talk about how do you lead beyond symbols of authority, like the referee's whistle, and then lead with integrity, influence, and impact.
Yes.
And so that's what I do now as a motivational speaker. Um, you know, going into organizations and churches and schools, talking to leaders how to lead with things like this: empathy over ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or influence over intimidation.
Yes.
See, a lot of people want to lead from their title, but that's not effective leadership when you're leading from your title. You're missing out, and that's not an effective leader. So that's what I do as a motivational and inspirational speaker. I teach people how to lead beyond their titles, their position, or their status.
You are also an author. You wrote a book, Dr. David, entitled A Champion's Mind: How to Defeat Giants and Win, which is why I
Yes.
put that little caveat into my intro. So tell us about that book and what inspired you to write that book.
Yeah. So again, that book was birthed out of my upbringing as the biblical character David, right?
Okay.
And one day I was reading about him, and I realized that David was a winner at everything that he did. And I said, wait a minute, let me check and see what he did. And I came across the scripture, 1 Samuel 16:18, where it said that David was he was an excellent musician, he was brave, he was a warrior, he was well-spoken, good-looking, and God was with him. And when I looked at those elements of him, I said, wait a minute, these were his strategies
Mm-hmm.
that caused him not only to slay the giant, everybody knows he was a giant slayer,
Right.
but he also won battles and wars and other things. He was an excellent musician. He did great at everything that he did. So what I did was I took those 6 elements and I put them in a book. And I wrote a chapter for each one of those things. And I'll just talk
Okay.
about the first one. The first one is said that David was an excellent musician. And what made him a winner was he put his gift into operation. God had given him a gift. God had blessed him and anointed him with a gift. David developed his gift, and then he got his gift out there. And the Bible says that your gift will make room for you.
Absolutely.
And so many people are not as successful as they could be is because they're not using their God-given gifts. Your gift is the answer to your problem, right? The gift is the answer to your money problem. You wonder, how can I make money? We all want to make money. Put your gift out there. It's your gift that makes room for you. David got called to the palace. And then here's another thing about your gift. Your gift solves other people's problems.
Yes.
Right? David got called to the palace because they wanted somebody to come play the harp for King Saul. So somebody said, I know somebody. So the first time David comes to the palace, although he was already anointed to be king, he didn't show up at the palace for the first time because they were going to coronate him as the king. He showed up because they called for his gift.
Mm-hmm.
See, some people are looking for your gift right now. Some people want you to show up with your gift. I don't know who's listening to me out in your audience, but I want to tell you that there's somebody looking for your gift, and you got to make room for your gift. You got to get your gift out there because it's going to make a difference in their life. And once you change other people's lives, guess what they'll do? They'll bless you.
Right. And your life will change.
And your
Let
life
me
will change.
lean in on that a little bit more, Dr. David. How
Okay.
does someone figure out what their gift is?
Yeah. So a lot of people want to talk about this thing called discovering your gift, right?
Mhm.
Discovering gifts. I don't believe that we should discover our gifts.
Okay.
Here's why. We've all heard of this guy by the name of Christopher Columbus, right?
Yes.
They told us that it was Columbus that discovered America. right?
Correct, which was incorrect.
Which is incorrect, right? But notice how the story goes. They say he left Spain, headed for America to discover America. But the story goes that he landed in several islands in the Caribbean. And when he got there, he asked the question, is this America? See, when you go to discover your gift, you'll land in places where your gift is not.
Okay.
You'll land in spaces where you're not going to find what you're looking for because you're trying to discover it. And discovering it means that I'm looking outside of me to find it. See, I believe that God wants us to discern our gift. I know that's a religious term, but to discern it means to look on the inside of me to find it, because that's where your gift is. Your gift is on the inside of you. There was a man by the name of Howard Thurman. Thurman said, don't ask what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go do that. See, it's your gift that makes you come alive. It's your gift that gets you out of bed in the morning. It's your gift that inspires you to help other people. So don't ask, what does the world need? No, what makes you come alive? Ask yourself that question. And when you can answer the question of what makes you come alive, then that's what the world needs.
Yes.
Because the world needs for people to come alive. And if you come alive, you give the world everything that the world needs.
Dr. David Walker is joining me on the podcast today. Dr. David, let's go back to your tryouts, the almost tryouts with the Los Angeles Dodgers. At that time in your life, what did baseball mean to you?
Well, baseball meant everything to me. Again, growing up in Bed-Stuy, you find sports, you get involved with sports. You play in the street at first because we didn't have a whole lot of money. So you get a stick in the ball and, hey, let's go play baseball, right? And then I get into high school. I'm playing baseball in high school. I make it as an all-city baseball player, which is the top award you can get for a high school player.
Yes.
And so I had dreams of playing for the New York teams, like the Mets and the Yankees. I wanted to be the professional, because if I can go back to Bed-Stuy, we all had a dream of becoming what we call a living legend.
Okay.
Right? Biggie became a living legend through rap.
Yes.
Jay-Z became a living legend through rap. Chris Rock and Tracy Morgan, they became living legend through comedy. Lenny Kravitz became a living legend through music. Well, I couldn't rap. I couldn't say, I love you when you call me Big Papa. I couldn't do nothing like that. And all the jokes that I was telling, nobody laughed. So I had to say, well, what do I have? What do I love to do? So it became baseball. And Crystal, when I got that letter in my senior year of college from the Los Angeles Dodgers, of course I was overjoyed. I was excited, because that letter was telling me that my dream of becoming a professional baseball player was about to come true.
Yes.
And as you opened up in the intro, days before the tryout, I was playing in the game. I was standing on.
What game were you playing? Okay, so 2 questions here, Dr. David. What position did you play in baseball? And what game were you playing in before your tryouts? Because normally, or at least now, I don't know what it was at that time, they advise you like not to play in any games, no street ball, no anything.
Yeah. So I started out, when I got into college, I was a second baseman.
Okay.
But as I developed my skill, my talent, my hitting ability, I always had speed. I was a very fast runner. I was a base stealer as well. And really, that's what the Dodgers really wanted. I wasn't a home run hitter, but for people who know baseball, I stole bases. Again, coming from Bed-Stuy, I didn't steal pocketbooks, but I definitely stole bases.
Yes.
And they loved my speed, right? They wanted me because I was the guy, when I got on base, I'm stealing second, I'm stealing third. Every now and then I steal home. And they said, we like your talent. We want to get a closer look at you. So when I say in my senior year, we were still in season. So it wasn't like after season. I was still playing in my senior college year.
Yes.
And so the tryout was coming at the end of the year. And it's sort of like how athletes do today. I'll use football as an example. They play the whole season and they got these bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when they play in the bowl games, they're always taking a risk because you're right on the verge of being drafted. Yes. Some players sit out, especially when you're highly drafted. Players can sit out because they don't want to fear an injury.
Correct.
And of course, that creates a lot of controversy on the team because, hey, we're getting ready to play a game and you sitting out because now you're saying you're worrying about us and not worrying about the team. So it is kind of complex when a guy has a shot for the pros. But I had this opportunity, so I was in the middle. Maybe like it was definitely towards the end of the year because I think we was only about a week or two away from playing in the playoffs. And I remember the championship games that year. We were in two divisions and we played in two championships. One game was at Shea Stadium in New York, and one game was at Yankee Stadium. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get a chance to play in neither one because I had broken my leg by that time.
Oh. David, oh my goodness. Okay, so walk us through what happened. Like, how did you break your leg? Were you playing in your high school game when that happened? Were you stealing a base when that happened?
So, senior year of college.
Oh, college, excuse me, yes.
Yep, senior year of college. In the game, we started the inning with me getting a base hit.
Okay.
And now I'm on first base. And let me ask you, what do you think I did?
Stole a second.
I stole second. I stole second base. And now I'm standing on second base. My teammate gets a base hit to the outfield. And I'm dashing around third, trying to score a run for my team. Mm-hmm. Now there's a play at home plate. The throw was high. The catcher jumps up in the air to catch the ball. And as I come in to put my foot on home base, the weight of the catcher comes down and he breaks my leg.
No.
That's when it happened, right at home base. Crystal, I remember that day rolling and screaming in the dirt. My leg. I remember finally getting a chance to look down at my leg. And when I saw it, I knew what had happened. I knew that I wasn't going to make that tryout. I knew that my baseball career was over. As you can imagine, I felt sad and angry and disappointed because not only was my leg broken, but my dream was shattered.
Yes.
But I remember, Crystal, while I was laying there, I remembered experiencing what you call a defining moment.
Okay.
It's been said that when a defining moment comes, either you define the moment or the moment will define you.
Correct.
And so I decided to define my moment. Yes, my leg is broken. My career is over. But what am I going to do next? And I remember getting up, going home, rehabbing my leg. I'm in my senior year of college, so I got to come back to school. I got to finish my degree. I wasn't going to let that moment detour me because my degree was also a part of my goals and my purpose. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of professional athletes, when the pro career ends, they don't finish school.
Right, because that wasn't their primary goal.
That wasn't their primary goal. Originally, when I got into school, the baseball was my primary goal. But over time, you realize I'm not just in this education system to only play baseball. You better get your degree while you're in this school. Mm-hmm. And watch this. Wasn't a great student. I even started late coming out of high school. Finally, I got myself together, but it took me 2 more years before I finished. I came back to school and it took me 2 more years to finish and I made a commitment that it didn't matter how long it's going to take, I'm going to finish. And I did. 2 years later, finished my degree. went into education, as I said earlier, became a teacher, spent 30 years, and I gave you my bio, but the adjustment was sometimes life causes a shift in what you thought you were going to do. And the question is, when that thing happens, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go home and cry? Yeah, you're going to cry. You're going to cry because you just lost something.
Yes.
But now you got to get up and make something else of your life. May not be exactly what you wanted, but you can still impact the world doing something else. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And I felt, and I don't feel like, even though there's still days when I wish I could have gotten out there. And as you reminded me, the Dodgers did win the World Series last year. I feel some kind of allegiance to that because they wanted me.
Yes.
But you still have to know that whatever you do next, you can still impact lives. You know what I'm saying? You can still change lives. And like I say, I'm in the speaking business because I want to transform lives. You know, after you hear me talk, I don't want you to be the same. I want you to be different. You know, but you'll never change if you don't renew your mind. And I know scripture talks about the renewing of your mind, but just in general, lives can be better and will be better when you renew your mind, which means to change it from old ways of thinking.
Now, Dr. David, I feel like you just kind of breezed over one of the most important parts of life shattering your dream.
Okay.
So your leg is broken. You are screaming and hollering in pain. Also probably screaming and hollering because you understand I'm not going to the Dodgers now.
Right.
Emotionally, how did you get through that?
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to go from the heartbreak and the upset of the broken leg, I'm not going to the Dodgers, to finding your purpose and renewing your mind? What is that process, and how long did that take?
Yeah. So two things. One, I'm going to always lean on what grandma said, you're a giant slayer.
Okay.
Grandma always got me to see that no matter what the obstacle is, you can overcome it. We overcome challenges when we are determined to overcome them. When we make up our minds that it happened, I can't do anything about it happening, but what am I going to do next? I can't wait on somebody else to fix me. I can't wait on somebody else to do for me. I got to do for myself. Now, when it comes to emotional setbacks, there is no set time for any person to get over an emotional challenge, a traumatic experience. Because number one, it depends on what the experience was.
Yes.
I got over a broken leg. Somebody may be trying to get over a marriage. Well, it's a whole lot easier to get over a broken leg than it is a broken marriage. Trust me.
That's true.
Right? So there is no set time limit where I can say, well, it took me 3 months, 6, whatever it was. It really doesn't matter what it might take me. Everyone is different. The emotional capacity is different. But I do think that with inner strength and determination, that is the remedy to help everybody to get over. I'm just going to make up I broke my leg. It happened. I'm just going to make up my mind to come over it, to do something else, and to be successful. Somebody may say, I went through a broken marriage. It hurt. It was painful. It took me 2-3 years to get over it. But the moment you say to yourself, you know what? I'm getting up here and I'm going to take care of me. And of course, in anytime there's a situation, there's always a healing period. It's always a healing period. And here's something that I want to share. And it might be a tough pill for somebody to swallow, and I had to learn it myself. A lot of times healing can only come from isolation. And when I say
on that,
yeah, so here's what it is. You can't heal in the crowd, right? There's going to be moments when you got to get away from people. You got to get away from things. You may even have to get away from a daily activity for a period to get isolation. And of course, being spiritual, that isolation is going to include God, because we're not getting anywhere without him. But I'm talking about the isolation from people, isolation from the problem, isolation from different voices that try to tell you things that you don't need to hear. Right? Sometimes people are trying to encourage you, but they don't say the right things to you. Sometimes they'll say things that make the situation worse. A perfect example. A woman may lose a child, right?
Oh, I already know what you're going to say, but go ahead and say it.
Yeah, that's all right. You can have another one, right? People say that, right? That's the
Or
worst.
they're in a better place.
Or they're in a better place. Yes, things like that. Sometimes it's just
And
better.
that goes for men too.
Yeah,
Men lose children.
yeah,
People say that to them as well.
yeah. And they don't mean any harm, but they don't understand the impact of those words, right? And so sometimes you got to get away from people, because people unintentionally can hurt you more and make you grieve more. They don't mean it, but they lack the skills necessary to say the right thing. Sometimes the best thing you can say to anybody that's going through a situation is nothing. I'm just going to sit here with you.
Right.
And you tell me what you need to say. Something like that. So that's what I mean about isolation, meaning, of course, you're going to have some daily activities. You got to go to work and things of that nature. But sometimes you just got to get by yourself, away from people, away from the noise, and reflect, reestablish purpose in your mind, and say, it happened, but I'm going on and I'm going to win. And that's just the thing that I did. And again, I'm going to always give Grandma that credit that put in that resiliency in me to say, you can win no matter what happens to you.
Let me tell you a quick story, Dr. David, then I'll move on to my next question.
Okay.
I have a best friend. Her name is Latoya. And we're in college. I had a horrible breakup, and I'm sad and I'm crying. And Latoya told me, she was like, I don't know what to say in the situation to make you feel better. But if you ever just want to call me and not say anything and just cry, I won't say anything. I will just hold the phone. And I did that so many times, Dr. David. And I would just call Latoya and I would just cry. And she would just sit there in that moment with me, and her presence with me in that moment, in the midst of me crying, my sadness, it helped me so much. So you are absolutely correct. Sometimes you do not have to say anything, just be present in that moment. And the fact that she acknowledged, I don't know what to say, Crystal, to make you feel better in this moment. But if you just need to call me and just cry, I won't say anything. I'll just be on the phone and I will listen and I will be with you. A lot of times, that's all that's needed.
And here's the word that you just said, powerful. You use the word presence.
Yes.
Sometimes that's it.
That's it.
Just presence. I mean, being there.
Yes.
All that it takes. Or like you say, I think you said she was on the phone, maybe. Right?
Yes, she was on the phone.
Yeah, that's still presence.
Yes.
Don't say nothing. Just your presence, for somebody to know that someone else is there for them. And I'm going to say this, so people can have an understanding that life is about two directions, vertical and horizontal. When you're going through the worst, you got to go vertical, because again, I believe in God, right?
Okay.
You got to talk to God. You got to have conversations with God. That's your vertical. But you got to have a horizontal relationship with somebody. You got to have a human being that you can rely on, that can give you that presence that you need. God is one thing. I oftentimes say, when God told Adam, it's not good for man to be alone, I said, wait a minute. Adam had God, but God still said he was alone. So God was trying to tell us that having a vertical is not enough in this human journey. You have to have a horizontal relationship. It doesn't necessarily have to be a marital relationship or something like that, but it's going to be a good friend, someone who will give you presence when you need it. And sometimes, I hate to say this, but sometimes a spouse may not be the one. I'm just being honest.
Right.
It may not necessarily be the person to give you the presence that you need, even though they should be there for you. But sometimes, because it could be, let's say, a pastor, right? It could be a therapist, right? And sometimes everybody, although we love them, they might not have everything that we need in the moment.
And we shouldn't expect that they do.
That's right.
We should not expect that they have everything. So during this time, David, of you breaking your leg, you go back to school, you start really tapping into the resilience that's already within you. What would you say was your biggest lesson, your biggest takeaway from that time?
Yeah, I mean, your biggest takeaway from me is clearly that whatever happens in the moment is not final.
Yes.
That thing that happened in the moment is not final.
Okay.
We're not going to put a nail in the situation. We're not going to do that. Here's what I've learned when it comes to having a mindset of resilience. You ever heard people say, I had a bad day? I don't say I had a bad day.
I don't say I had a bad day. I had a bad moment. I had a bad hour. But your entire, in some situations, let me just throw this out there. In some situations, your entire day could possibly be horrible, could possibly be bad.
Right.
But for the most part,
it's a
your
moment.
entire day is not bad. You had a bad hour. You had a bad lunch. You had a bad 15 minutes. Yes.
That's right. And that's the way you got to look at it. I say, I'm not giving this thing my whole day.
My whole day.
No, you're not having my whole. You can have a moment, as you said, an hour. I get that. And I always just try to use it as a bad moment. Right. But you're not getting my whole day. No, I'm not doing that. And so when you have that kind of mindset, that mindset is always saying that you have to pick yourself up and move forward. Because here's another thing about the biblical text, if I may. It's full of stories of people who experienced some horrible stuff.
Yes.
Some horrible situations. And many of them had to overcome them to win, right? I oftentimes say, in life, we want to win, but we don't want an opponent, right? We want the victory, but we don't want an opponent. One of the greatest players that ever played the game. I'm not going to get into the LeBron-Michael argument.
Okay.
But I am going to use Michael Jordan as a reference because many consider him the greatest. He won six NBA championships.
Yes.
But not one of those championships that he won was won without defeating someone. You have to have an opponent in order to win. People want to win trophies, but they don't want no opponent. You know, what are you talking about? I want to win. Okay, well, when them hardships come, what's this hard stuff coming? You said you wanted to win. You have to have opposition.
Yes.
In this world. You're not going to make it without. And the greater the opposition, the greater the blessing.
Yes. And let me throw this in here. You know how they say iron sharpens iron?
Yes.
I don't know if people, and they use it as a good thing, which it is, but I don't know if people have ever seen iron sharpening iron. It is a travesty because there's sparks.
Yes.
There's going against the grain.
Yes.
There's the loud noise.
Yes.
The people that sharpen an iron could possibly get hurt.
Yeah.
It is a lot of negative things that happen before the iron is sharpened whenever you are sharpening iron. So to your point,
Uh-huh.
you have to have opposition to be successful to win the championship. But also, if you are iron sharpening iron, there's a lot of traumatic, hurtful things that happen in the process of people sharpening iron. You got to YouTube it or look it up or whatever the case is, and you will see.
And don't forget the heat.
The heat. The heat. Like, it's so much tragedy that
Yeah.
happens when iron sharpens iron before you get to the, oh, look at this knife is so, I can cut through butter. Before you
Uh-huh.
get to that, it's a
Uh-huh.
lot you got to go through.
Friction.
Friction. Yes. Yes. You got to go through all of
All
that
of it.
before you are sharpened. Before
Exactly.
you are sharpened. So David, how can people go through the friction,
Yeah.
go through the heat, the disappointment that life will bring to you, but
Mhm.
not let that define who they are?
Yeah. Well, number one, you have to accept the process.
Mm-hmm.
You have to accept that you cannot have greatness without those things we mentioned: friction,
Mm-hmm.
heat.
Yes.
You can't have it. I challenge anyone to show me greatness without those elements, right? You can't have it. So, number one, you have to say it's a part of the journey.
Okay.
I think most people get challenged with it because they just think that they're supposed to not have any obstacles. I look for obstacles. I don't necessarily want them, but I know that they're coming, so I'm looking for them.
Wow. And you can prepare.
And you can prepare because you know they have to come, right? Um, and then again, you have to be determined to overcome it and to win. And no matter how challenging it is, you can't quit,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, yes, there are times when you have to make life's adjustments.
Correct.
See, there's a difference between quitting and then realizing that something is just not going to work, right? And of course, it's a fine line, and you got to know the difference. But quitting means that you have not exhausted all options.
All options. Yes.
That's a quitter. Sometimes if you say, "Listen, we have looked at every single thing we could do for this particular thing, and there's nothing left, and so this particular project is not going to work. We got to do something different." So that's the difference between the two: exhausting all options versus not doing it. Quitters
Mm-hmm.
don't exhaust all the options, right? And so that's what you got to do. It's you have to be determined. You have to expect it, and you have to know that in the end you're gonna win. Here's something that I want to say because I don't want to miss this. Going back to my sports, in the game of baseball and all sports really, they got two columns. They got the wins column and the loss column, right? Wins and losses. So if you play 4 games and you win 3 of them, your winning percentage is 75%. 3 out of 4, 75%. But in my mindset, I don't I say my L's are not losses. My
Mm-hmm.
L's are learns.
How do you come from a loss with a learn?
Because every situation, everything that's not a win is a learn. See,
Okay.
I don't have W's and L's for wins and losses. I got W's and L's for wins and learns.
I love that.
And because I have wins and learns, what is my winning percentage? My winning percentage is 1,000 because I have no losses.
Oh, I just got that.
Yeah.
I just got that.
If it didn't work for me, it's not a loss, but it's a what? It's a
It's a
learn.
learn.
So
Oh, I just
so,
got that.
so I keep my winning streak intact because I have no losses. I got wins and learns. And then I say, if something didn't go right, I say, what did I do that caused, what's the lesson that I learned, right? And then what do I need to do with that learn to get it into the wins column? So I'm always batting 1,000%.
Oh, I love it. Such an aha moment, Dr. David. Wow. Yes. Listen, community, Dr. David is dropping some gems on this podcast today. I hope y'all writing down. I hope y'all taking notes because you need to be, or you can just rewatch this episode again. Okay, so Dr. David, what would you say is the hardest giant from your own life that you have had to defeat?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I am in the midst of my most giant challenge right now. I cannot completely talk about it because I'm not through with it yet.
Yes.
And but I'm at the point where at some point I got to share publicly. Haven't really done it too much, but the end of a 42-year marriage.
Oh, okay.
Is
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But it's life. It's reality. And so I'm saying it because I can't not deal with it. Right. And I'm saying that although I'm not completely through it yet, but I'm going to have to put that there now because it is going to be the most difficult challenge that I've had. And I have to find my way to the other side. I may not want to, but life has offered it in such a way where I have to get to the other side of the challenge, the conflict, the pain, all that comes with the separation and the ending of a relationship. Sometimes it doesn't matter the length of time. But when you have spent that many years,
yes,
it can be very, very, very difficult. And I do want to say this, though, and I hope that this is a lesson. Every marriage must end or die. Everyone. The question is, how will it die? Will it die through what we want till death do us part? Or will it die through, a divorce? But no marriage can live into eternities. It has to end. The question is how? How will it end? Of course, if you do certain things, it'll stay alive longer. If you don't do certain things, it'll end because the things that need to be done. And then sometimes people just change, sometimes over time, people needs change and desires change. So this is a whole process. And I could never even begin to explain it or get it out in this kind of forum because there's so much involved with it.
Correct.
But I am experiencing that, and this is going to be my life's greatest challenge. And I still have to find a way to overcome, to find peace, to find happiness, to continue to live my life. Even though things are going to be new, that's just the way it is. And then this is going to help me to find out who I am, because sometimes we can be connected to a particular person for so many years, we don't really know who we are.
Outside of that person.
Outside of that person. And in life, we don't necessarily want to discover who we are outside of someone else, but sometimes that's what life offers you. It offers you to say, well, now you have to find out who you are outside of that person. And the question is, are you going to find out who you are outside of that person? Or are you going to be so attached to you can't find out who you are outside of them?
And it comes down to the choice.
It comes down to choice.
It comes down to choice. Do you want to find out, or do you not want? Either way, it's friction. Either way, it's heat. Either
Yep.
way, it's disappointment. Either way, there's learning.
That's right. And there you go
There's
again.
learning.
It's no losses. It's a learn.
It's a
You
learn.
know, you learn about yourself. You learn about your good qualities. You learn about your bad qualities. You learn about so many. You learn about the other person. Sometimes we think that we can know a person after a certain amount of years, and not so. Because if it's a new day coming, potentially you're going to learn something new about somebody else.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
For every new day, there's a possibility of learning something new that you never saw before. Because some people say, well, I know you know how mothers say, I know my kids, I know my children, they wouldn't do nothing.
They would
Okay.
never do. And look at them out there doing.
Exactly. Don't tell me what you know. I know my husband. I know, okay, keep living. See what tomorrow brings.
Look at them out there doing.
Yeah.
David, thank you so much for sharing that very
Sure.
personal,
Oh, yeah.
part of your life and challenge that you are currently facing. Thank you so much for that. As we get ready to wrap up this conversation, I have a couple more questions for you, then we will say goodbye. In this space that you're in, keynote speaker, author, wanting to transform lives, what is your intention in this space?
Yeah, my intention is really, how can I impact the kingdom? And when I say the kingdom, that's the whole world, right?
Mhm.
Because scripture says the earth is the Lord. This is God's kingdom down here on earth. And God is sending me to people to help to transform their lives. I spent 15 years as a pastor. And as a pastor, every Sunday that I would take that pulpit, my intent was to help to transform lives. Of course, bringing people into the knowledge of Jesus Christ. As a motivational speaker, I don't have a pulpit anymore, right? Per se, right? And if I can just go back to being a pastor, generally speaking, I had to wait till people come to me before they could hear my message.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as a motivational speaker, I get to go to the world.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
get to transform lives, still being a servant and a representative of Christ, because you're not going to see me any different now than I was as a pastor on a regular basis, because I still lift him up. And again, my desire is to, when I speak to people, that your life will be changed, and not only changed and transformed, but that there's an impact there to say, well, that guy impacted my life by what he said, And then here's something else, and I want to close. Well, you can ask me another question, but I become more of a listen to me when I say this. I'm no longer a person of my word.
Mm-hmm.
Now listen to me when I say that. I'm no longer a person of my word. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes people will say one thing and do something else, right?
Correct.
My therapist said, people lie, behavior doesn't.
Correct.
Right? So I'm no longer I don't want you to judge me by my words. Don't listen to what I say. Watch what I do.
I wonder if you could do both. Listen to your word and watch what you do.
You can, but human nature says people lie.
People do lie.
It doesn't. People will say one thing, and sometimes when they say it, they have good intentions. But sometimes people don't always come through. So I don't want you to focus. I say, so don't take my words, judge my action. Because if you judge my action, then I'm doing what I said. But if you only focus on what I said, then I might not do what I said. So I'm saying that I'm no longer a man of my word, but I am a man of my actions. Because I want you to judge. Oh yeah, he did it. That's what I want your judgment about. Not he
Mhm.
said it, because we live in a world now where I can find videotape of somebody saying something 5 years ago, and now they're saying something completely different on TV.
Yes,
Wait a
yes,
minute.
absolutely. Now, my final question for you, Dr. David, who do you think would make a great guest on the podcast? But you have to help me get them on.
Yeah, I have a colleague by the name of Dr. Will Moreland.
Mhm.
He's from the Phoenix, Arizona area, and I think his expertise is about civility.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll speak to organizational civility, because we're living in a time when there's a lot of conflict going on in organizations and businesses. So he speaks to civility between people, and I think he might be a great guest for your podcast. And we're going to try to get him on for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. David, for coming on and teaching us about wins and learns, not wins and losses. That's such an aha moment for me. I'm going to be thinking about that one for a while. But thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome, and thank you. And I'd be glad to come back anytime.
Absolutely. And to my community, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. You can get Dr. Davis podcast on YouTube Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. And remember, you always have time to listen and learn on the go.